Got it. Preparing to live stream. All right, I'll get this episode out tomorrow. We'll have that out before Saturday, then we'll be straight. All right, we up. All right, let me post this tweet and we good. Draft, already drafted it. There we go. All right, I just tweeted that.
Boy, it's cold as here. I've been struggling, boy.
Boy, I thought I had COVID. I thought I was down bad. I thought I had COVID, bro.
No, I thought I was feeling better. I was like, I'm gonna go work out, get this out of me. Boy, that shit hit me about an hour ago.
I worked out today, but I did a small Peloton workout. I was gonna go lift, and my whole body was hurting. I said, "Nah, let me chill. Let me just." I was going to definitely try to lift. That shit was not gonna work. All right, the tweet is up. Welcome to everybody watching online, and also everybody listening to us. The Underhooks podcast is back. I'm one of your hosts. I'm TJ, and I had a great holiday. I ate very bad, but we back in the gym and we working it back off. Stefan, how are you?
I'm doing good. You know, that holiday, boys, travels and everything else. I swear it's gonna take me at least till Christmas to recover.
I ate very ignorantly on Thursday. On Friday, I had a huge lunch of leftovers, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna chill now. Because I went in on Thursday, I went super in on Friday, and I was like, all right, I gotta chill because I can't just eat like that all weekend. I did my best to stay away from the desserts.
There was one day I think I ate like 3/4 of a bread pudding. Like every night I had a bowl combination of bread pudding, pound cake, and ice cream. We can't live like that. We gotta get life back together.
We got to get our life back in the routine. But we're happy to have y'all back. It's been about 2 weeks since we recorded an episode, so a lot has happened since we have last tapped in. So I think the best way of doing this is we want to talk about some news first. We'll recap the last couple of fight nights, and then we'll do the upcoming fight night, which airs this Saturday that y'all should be tuned in for. It's going to be a big main event, and we'll make our picks for that. So I want to start with some news. Obviously, our welterweight division's been in pure chaos for the last couple of weeks. It feels like every episode we got something coming out of that division to talk about. This time, a fight that we talked about before on the pod, Masvidal and Leon Edwards, that fight has been canceled because Masvidal got hurt, or he says that he got hurt, but no one knows what the injury is. So that fight's been canceled. And it looks like now Leon's going to go straight to the title fight. I know none of us thought this was going to happen, but I just heard from a couple of UFC insiders today on the internet that it looks like Leon's going to jump right into that title fight with Usman without having to fight Jorge. Would have been a fun fight, but looks like Leon's going to go have a title shot. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I've made my comments about that fight in general, but I think that's the expected outcome. I mean, I thought Leon would beat Masvidal and that we were going to get to this route one way or another. So I think we kind of sped it up with less damage to each other. But, you know, it's still the thing of Leon hasn't fought in a while. We always talk about how you have to constantly be fighting like this. Some of the best fighters are guys who are really active, and Leon is not active at all, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see how that looks with him going into Usman, who is fighting and destroying people. So I think this is going to be an easy fight for Usman. I don't see it going any other way. I could be surprised, but you never know.
Obviously, Usman's already beat him once. Very wrestling heavy in the first matchup. Usman wrestled him pretty much the entire fight. I find the rematch interesting, not just because Leon is better now, but also because Leon seems to not want to wrestle, or at least not have to wrestle. And I do think it's a more fun fight if would they just stand up. And Leon is a great striker, but I don't know if Leon has the power to deal with Usman, who just seems to be able to walk through everything. And so even if I think Leon's only way to win the fight is to point him to death. And I don't know if Leon can last for 5 rounds with Usman hitting as hard as he's been hitting lately. It's going to be a tough road for Leon to hope. That was going to be a tough one.
And it kind of reminds me of like the Kobe situation. Kobe was tagging Usman some, but he didn't have the power to finish him. And Leon is pretty much that same, skill set. So I just don't see it. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon with that as far as that division.
Well, speaking of Kobe, it looks like now. So if you remember, Kobe before the fight fell off, the Leon and Jorge fight fell off. Kobe was saying that Masvidal should drop out of that fight and fight Kobe instead because it's a bigger fight, which is true. I don't. If we believe Jorge, he's not dropping out because of Kobe, but it obviously looks like the perfect matchup to have them fight around March, assuming Jorge will be ready. That's a huge fight. Obviously, we all know about the three-piece Minnesota. Masvidal has put, that's Leon. We all know about their history. These guys used to train together. These guys really, really don't like each other. And there's been a lot of shit talk back and forth over the last couple of weeks between these two guys. It looks like that fight's going to happen. It's just a matter of Dana putting the pen to the pad. And Dana wants this fight as much as anyone because it's going to be massive and it's going to be fun as shit.
Yeah, and that I thought about it and I was like, that is the fight to sell. And realistically, how many more big fights does Masvidal have? Exactly. Like Kobe has a lot that, we're gonna see him again. We're getting that trilogy. I am willing to bet a lot that we are getting that Usman and Kobe trilogy. I mean, there's just no other way that happens. But for Masvidal, the journeyman, who hasn't won anything, who hasn't beat anybody worth a damn. Sorry, I had to throw some shade out there since I wasn't gonna be able to get it in the fight. But I mean, for him, you fought Nate. Everybody loved it. I'm sure UFC fans will watch it again because they're obsessed with Nate Diaz and these type of characters. But outside of that, what do you do with them? I mean, do you have them fight Stephen Thompson? Do you have them fight Luque and get destroyed? No. Gilbert Burns and Masvidal may sell it, but Burns is a boring character. So this is his last big hoorah, in my opinion. So
I agree. I agree for sure. And Jorge, he's saying the right things right now. I want to contend for championships. That's all fine. And while you can do that, I'm never going to blame you for doing that. But if he does lose this fight to Kobe, which is probably likely to happen, and Kobe's a great fighter, so it's probably likely to happen. I agree with you that Masvidal is no longer going to fight the top level competition, at least in this division, and fight for championships or contenders. But I do think there's still a ton of major fights to make just because he's such a big star. And I think he'll just fall into that. Nate Diaz can say whatever he wants to. Nate Diaz is not trying to win a championship. Like he's trying to get the biggest fights possible and have a lot of fun. I think Masvidal will become that. But if he's able to beat Kobe, then we got to shut up and he's got to go fight another one of those top contenders because if he's able to beat Kobe, that might arguably springboard him right back into a championship conversation. So even though we could see the writing on the wall, in his brain, he's supposed to see it as I'm literally one fight away. If I beat Colby Covington, especially convincingly, I'm right back in there with Usman because Usman knows it'll make a ton of money. Why not fight him again? Especially if you already beat him twice easily, beat him again to make some more money.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see. I still, I think the big fight that you're going to get to wait for, besides the Kobe Usman trilogy, is going to be what happens with Kazmat. So wherever Chimaev, whatever he gets into, I think that's the fight to make. And I love this division. I feel like it's by far one of the funnest divisions, but like definitely. Usman is destroying it and taking away all the possibilities you have with it, which is great because he's a great fighter. But still, it's kind of like, okay, he's beat everybody. He's run through the division. So where's the fun in it now?
To me, it looks like, so the way it sets up now is Kazmat wants to fight literally everybody. He is called, I got a list here. He is called out GSP, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Cormier. He's just calling out everybody. So Kazmat is making it clear he is willing to fight literally anybody. Only a few people have called out Kazmat, but now it's gotten to the point where more people are calling him out because they see if I'm able to beat this guy. I'll give Jeff Neal credit because Jeff Neal called him out pretty much as soon as Kazmat won his last fight. But now you have people talking about maybe Sean Brady, who we'll talk about later in the podcast, can fight Kazmat. He's in the same division. And Jeff Neal wants to fight him. obviously there was talk of maybe Leon fighting him if Leon needed another fight, but now it looks like Leon's going to go fight for the championship. So it's very interesting what's going to do. I think Chimaev's next fight will tell us a lot, both about how he is as a fighter, but also what the UFC sees for him, because he's just so hot right now, and his name is so popular right now that he's probably one win, if that, away from a championship title opportunity himself. So who goes in there next against him is going to be fascinating. If I'm him, he can say whatever he wants to out loud. I'm trying to fight the easiest fight because the hype is so high. Give me the easiest fight that you're willing to give me. Give me a guy ranked a couple spots below me, but obviously it seems like he wants to go fight literally anybody. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah, and looking at it, like, who does he fight? Because I think Wonder Boy, he would walk through. He would walk through Masvidal. I think he would run through Luque.
Put him in with Burns.
I think that's the best decision because you got also Burns, somebody with power. You got two power guys in there. So I think
I'm trying to get Burns out of here and never talk about him again. So I definitely want Kazmat to destroy him, so we never.
So what is the Burns hate? Because I don't have nothing against him. But
here's why I hate Burns.
It better be good.
You're not gonna like it because it's about Leon. But 2 or 3 years ago, Leon wanted to fight Burns. Burns was up and coming. Burns basically poo-pooed it and said, "Fuck you." Now, after Burns lost his title fight, and now Leon's vying for a title fight, Burns came out of nowhere trying to throw himself in the middle of this guy who's trying to negotiate a title fight and trying to get public opinion on his side and said, "You coward, why don't you fight me?" And so now you want to fight. Now Burns wants to fight Leon, even though he didn't want to fight Leon 2 or 3 years ago, because all these fighters are doing the same thing. I want to fight who's convenient for me and what's best for my career at the best time. And I didn't like how Burns was basically being like, UFC, he's not playing ball. Like, give me the opportunities. I don't like how he used the plight of another fighter to try to boost himself up. And I just don't think that he's that good of a fighter. And I think that Leon would beat him in a fight one-on-one right now. I know we would disagree on who would win that fight. I think Leon's a better fighter than Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, okay. I can live with it. I still think Burns is really good. He's a young kid that took his lumps. I really think that Usman moment was just like, damn, the lights got so bright. I didn't expect him to go outside like that, but I think he's got plenty of potential. We're not done with his story at all as a UFC fighter, so it'll be interesting to see where we go from there.
We don't have a Burns fight scheduled yet either, and so we need to get him back in there. I want to see who he fights next too. All right, what do I got next? So where'd I go? All right, so I want to talk a bit about the Ketlen Vieira Miesha Tate fight night, which was 2 weeks ago, a week before Thanksgiving. This was a really bad card, one of the worst cards we've seen in a while, but we were due for a bad card. We've gotten so much heat, including the Holloway Rodriguez card, which we'll talk about after this. And so we were due for a stinker, but on this card, we had one finish in the entire card. We had one finish, which is the first time ever that the UFC has put on a card with 11 or more fights in it with only 1 or 0 finishes. So we'll talk about the week before, which had the highest finish rate of any UFC event ever. They immediately followed that up with the lowest finish rate UFC event ever. But you could tell just from looking at this card that it wasn't going to be great. But it was even worse than expected. We had one finish in like 12 fights. So it wasn't the most fun card. But there are a few fights on the card that are going to mean something, which we can talk about.
So when you sent me this card, I was like, what card is this? I felt like I was a meme because I was like scrunching my face and looking like, what are these fights? Did anything even happen? And then I'm watching the highlights and I'm like, what was this shit? I was like, this was awful.
There was one finish. Yes. So we talked about the main event. Ketlen Vieira beat Miesha Tate. I thought Miesha Tate, apparently some people didn't think or thought Miesha Tate won this fight. I thought Vieira won the fight. She was clearly the better striker, even though I thought Miesha Tate also did a great job striking, or at least better than I thought she would. But I thought in the latter ends of this fight, Vieira had, because Tate was the one pushing the pace the whole time. So I can understand why if you're watching the fight casually to think that maybe Tate is winning because she was the one pressing forward. whereas Vieira was just counterpunching the whole time, but she was counterpunching the hell out of Miesha Tate and definitely landing the stronger shots. So I thought she got the right decision. I didn't know why she didn't just finish her because I thought towards the end of that fight, Tate was looking pretty bad at times. I don't know why Vieira didn't get more aggressive in that last round, but she probably already knew she was ahead on the scorecard, and I can't really blame her for that.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I agree. Miesha was definitely the more aggressive one, but it doesn't matter if you're getting constantly tagged. You got to be aggressive and land and get some good hits in. So she wasn't able to do that. But, Miesha's her last win was, I know she lost to Raquel Pennington, and then
Yep.
I can't remember who she won against, but it was a knockout. I want to say it was a TKO. But
I think so.
Yeah, but either way, that was just a nasty fight in a nasty division. Like, I don't.
What do you do?
I think you gotta hope Holly Holm keeps winning, and then you run her back out there against Amanda. That's it.
People are saying that Vieira could be next after Amanda fights Pena later this month. She's gonna beat the shit out of Pena. Don't ever listen to anything that Pena is saying. She's gonna get destroyed in that fight.
Like, y'all are gonna see the odds. If you're listening, you're gonna see the odds. You like, I'm gonna sprinkle like $5 or $10 on that. And listen, don't do it. Just go get a taco Powerball. Yeah, that Powerball will hit way better than you trying to throw a Hail Mary on Amanda losing.
I can't wait to talk about that fight when it's time to talk about that fight because Pena has been talking the heaviest of shit for months. She won't shut up. I cannot wait to talk about that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Ketlen Vieira. I thought it was a nice win. Anytime you beat Miesha Tate, it's a great win. And she got that done. But my son was on this card. And even though he didn't get a finish, it was really the only highlight of the card. And it was Adrian Yanez, and he fought Grant. And this fight was amazing, first of all. This was a great fight. Two dudes standing in the middle, both strikers, just beating the shit out of each other. And Davy Grant was taking some shots. One of the judges actually gave the fight to Grant, but he had it 30-27 Grant, which is insane. I actually had it at 30-27 Yanez, but I could see 29-28 Yanez. But I could not believe that a judge saw that Davy Grant won 3 of those rounds, especially with how bad he looked after the fight. Adrian Yanez is coming, bros. Y'all better watch out for my son from Houston.
And the only thing is, I just feel like, God, it's just not even about that fight, but just the judges, man. We're getting so many 30-27s that are just like, how, like, are we watching the same fight? Like, there's no way that that's what that score is. So it's just like, I don't know how they fix that situation, but like at this point, yeah, it hasn't cost. It hasn't been a decision that's been like, controversial yet because everybody else has it. But like at some point, one of those judges is going to absolutely F up a card, and it's going to be a major fight.
Exactly. It sucks because people only really get super angry enough to where the UFC will take action if the wrong decision comes down. But we should be just as angry when one judge is like that judge could have cost somebody the fight. He didn't. And so it didn't become a major story. But the air is just as bad if another guy joined him. If another guy said 30-27 Grant, and now Grant wins the fight, we'd be more mad. But it's just as bad for that one judge that he was that bad. The fact that nobody joined him doesn't make him better. It's equally as bad. So I never understand when we see stuff like this why nothing happens. But it's because people don't give a shit. As long as the right guy wins the fight, that's all we care about. But it's crazy that he can watch this fight and think that.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So, but Yanez is really coming. He's at his 4th straight UFC win. He's got what is it? I think his win streak is at 8.
I think he's at 8 now, and people are saying that maybe he should fight Sean Brady, who also won on this card.
But it was, I think one of the cool things was the little emotional moment that Yanez had because, his coach passed away due to COVID. So,
that was
that's got to be hell fighting, and not hearing that consistent voice that you've always heard over in your corner. And then, I think they announced 30, what was it? They announced the 30-27 first. So I was just like, the hell? I was
yep.
So, his mind is already emotional. And then you hear that. So you're like, damn, well, I got to lose.
I have to lose? Yeah.
So, but it was cool. He's really, made a big push, and he's gonna be out there. But I don't know about putting him out there against my son yet.
So you called that Brady fight correctly, and I did not. Brady
was this a card that I was like 4-1?
Yeah, this is you made a lot of ground on this card. You were cooking.
Just wanted to highlight that.
Brady did not, also just like Giannis, Brady was very, very excellent in this fight. He did not get a finish. However, he dominated Chiesa. And there was a point in the fight where Michael Chiesa literally yells out to his corner or to the other guy's corner, "Wow, you weren't lying about this guy being so strong." Like Brady has no wrestling background, even though he's a great wrestler. He's more of a grappler, but his wrestling defense was so elite that Michael Chiesa had nothing. He could do nothing. Sean Brady is strong as hell. He's dominating fighters, and I thought it was a super impressive performance. His striking still doesn't impress me at all, and he took some shots on his feet. And when Michael Chiesa, who's not known for striking either, is out striking you, I think that's a red flag when we're talking about whether this person will be a champion. But Sean Brady is elite at what he's elite at, and the winning streak continues, man. He looked great in that fight.
Yeah. I think he's got so much power, it feels like, too. That's one of those things where you say he's not accurate, and eventually that's going to cost him against somebody. Yeah. Just throwing those haymakers, but that's an equalizer, too. Once he hits you and you start to take that pounding, that's going to be a big thing. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes from here.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Giannis. And Giannis is great, and Giannis would obviously be the better striker, but I don't know what the hell Giannis is going to do when Sean Brady is grappling him. And that would be an interesting matchup, but I look forward to seeing what they do with both those guys in the same division. Both look like they have bright futures ahead of them, and they were a few bright spots on a very bad card that we don't have anything else to say about that card.
Absolutely nothing.
But the card before that was the Max Holloway Yair Rodriguez card. And when you hear this, Stefan can't hear it yet, but we played T.I.'s King back in the intro because Max Holloway is once again the king. He should be the champion. He beat Yair Rodriguez in an amazing fight. Incredible fight.
That fight was absolutely high octane, explosive. Like all those cliche words that you could use to describe something, that was that fight. Like, I love Max, and I feel like Max won the other two fights against Volk. I am absolutely 100% he won those fights. That pisses me off just thinking about it. But that was such a battle. Those guys just staying in the pocket, and there were several times that I thought Max had him in hell. I was like, "Oh, Max is about to end this," and then Yair was able to come back. Yair is so fun. I love watching Yair fight. I always tell you,
2 year. He's fought in 2 years, and he looked like that.
Yeah, so
Yair Rodriguez looked amazing, man.
That's one of my favorite fights of all time. I think I told you a long time ago, watching that Yair Rodriguez Korean Zombie where he knocks him out in literally the last second.
The last second with that elbow. He actually landed the same elbow in this fight.
He did.
It didn't knock Max down, but he landed the same elbow. And I said, gee, the fight's interesting when Max Holloway probably only wins this fight, even though he clearly won the fight. It was close enough that he got 2 takedowns in this fight, and that was literally what gave him those rounds. He got the takedowns in. Max Holloway does not shoot. Like Max Holloway is not a takedown wrestler fighter. He's a boxer. And so there were times where Yair Rodriguez on the feet had the advantage for times, and Max is always going to throw so many punches because his cardio is great. But it didn't look like Max Holloway's cardio was 100% better than Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez was extremely impressive in losing this fight. Extremely impressive.
Yeah, Yair will be back soon. I think about one of the matches I would love to see is him and Ortega. I think that
would be fun as hell.
But then one of the things I just wanted to talk about with Max is it's kind of like with Colby. Yeah, we're going to watch him fight a trilogy deal. But man, you know what would be way more fun is Max just going to lightweight. He's done it one-off in that one-off when he fought DP.
Did it one time.
And so, how fun would it be him and Conor or somebody like that? Because I feel like that would be I feel like Conor would get absolutely destroyed.
That would be incredible to watch.
But that would be the perfect solution. Watch Max and him fighting, Max and Volk fight again. But that so many fun matchups that you could throw at Max. And Max has put it out there before that he didn't want to end up in the current division that he's in. He's thought about going up or going down. So I think that would be even really, Charles isn't beating my boy DP. So let's go ahead and put that on out here. DP is destroying my son. I mean, he is going to destroy Oliveira. There's no question. They might as well get that belt ready back to Louisiana. My man, DP is going to be cutting those hot sauce promos. So go ahead and count that in. Fun, but even think about Max and Justin Gaethje. Like I
Oh
worry
my
about
God.
KG's power, but just the cardio and the absolute foolishness in their throwing and the amount of strikes they can do,
That would be
that would be
insane.
insane. Yep.
I would love to see Max go, but I will say I'm also very excited to see him fight Volkanovski just because of how impressive Volkanovski has been. I am more excited to see him go up at lightweight and see Max fight some of the guys you named, but I'm not going to say that I'm not excited because Volkanovski is different. I have finally seen the light after the last fight. Max Holloway, my son, has always been different. He is the king of the division. I can't wait to see it again. And I hope this time somebody gets knocked out. I don't want any more decisions from these dudes. Somebody needs to knock somebody out because I don't want to talk about who won the fight anymore. I want to talk about who was asleep at the end and who was awake at the end. Period. Make it easy.
See, Volk just doesn't have my respect. I'm sorry. That guy has not impressed me
Damn.
at all. I mean, his last fight with Ortega, and it was just kind of like, Ortega fought really well, I thought, but it was still like, I'm not impressed. Like, you know, so I don't know. I would really love for him to go to that lightweight because I feel like you get so many fun matchups there.
What else I got? Andrea Lee from Texas looked great again. She knocked out Calvillo. Well, she TKO Calvillo, and this is the one where she didn't get off the stool after the second round. She was piecing her up in the striking. Yes. She didn't get off the stool. And first of all, obviously we can commend her for being a fighter, but also willing to say, because this doesn't happen nearly enough. I've had enough. Like, I'm not going to keep putting my body in danger. I'm down 0-2. I'm getting beat the hell up. I'm either going to get knocked out or just get beat up again for another 5 minutes. I'm good. I'm going to go back to the lab and work it out. But it's always so shocking to see, even though it shouldn't be. But she was getting beat the hell up. It ain't like she took a couple punches and like got out of the fight. She was getting beat the hell up for 10 minutes. And Andrea Lee keeps looking impressive in every fight she has.
Yeah, and you said like that's something you really don't see because you have to be absolutely batshit crazy to be a UFC fighter in the first place.
Facts.
So every light isn't or every elevator isn't already going up to the top. But for you to think like, hey, let me stop this elevator a few floors short because I didn't get my ass banged. That's something you really don't see. But it's I don't know. I see the pride thing because like, playing sports, I remember several times where we used to blow people out. And I remember I've been on the other side of like some absolute ass whoopers and you're just like, all right, man. I love this.
I can call this game.
Yeah, it's like, bro, I get it, man. It's cool. I don't want to be.
I was just talking about the other day to somebody. They said, have you ever competed against like an elite athlete, like somebody who is extremely elite at what they do? And I said, yes. When I was in high school, I played against TJ Ford. And I don't think people understand what it's like to compete against super people like that. You realize it immediately. Like, it doesn't take the whole game for you to realize, oh, I have nothing to offer this man. Like, we were double and triple teaming TJ Ford. He was destroying people. He was like he was not human. I didn't even feel bad about it. I was just like, no, there's nothing we can do. Like, what the fuck can we do? So sometimes when you're being in athletics, very early on, I am not this person's equal, and you just gotta live with that. Like, I don't have to sit in here for 15 minutes to see that Andrea Lee's beating the shit out of me. I realized in about the first 2 or 3 minutes, and now after 10 minutes, I'm just gonna give it to her because she's got it. I only got 5 more minutes, and I ain't gonna get no better between rounds. I'm good, and I thought it was very interesting to see it happen. But it's something that probably should happen more often. But we also, on the other side, we jump for joy when somebody's getting their head beat and also come back and win the fight, like Murad Dvalishvili just did a couple months ago. Dude basically died and came back and won the fight, and we gave him the props for that, as we should. Like, so it's a hard thing.
So that's crazy. Yeah, like you're talking about, I played college ball, and at the time, the school I was at, we were Division I AA, so we used to play like Clemson, Wake Forest, and I'll never forget my senior year. Like, I was so over sports, but like we played Cal, and I remember playing Cal, and I'll never forget there were 2 instances where I was just like, man, you know what, I'm ready to go get my job. Like, the NCAA commercial, like GoPro and something other than sports. I was like, man, give me my cubicle, bro. I'm so tired of this.
Give me my cubicle.
But like, no, So the first play, or not the first play, the first time I was like, man, get me out of San Francisco. And when we played them, we played at the Giants baseball stadium. So it was already like annoying because I was like, there's dirt in the middle of here. But
got it.
but like I was zone blocking and I was supposed to go get Mekhi Kendricks. So, the linebacker from Cal is like NFL, whatever.
Shit.
So I was like, whatever, cool. Well, we watched the film. We knew he was good. But so I was backside blocking. So I went to scoop and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get his ass. And I took my step and he took his step. Dog, I took my second step and I looked and he was in the backfield laying our running back out. And I was like, oh, shit. I said, let's go on out of here, dog.
I literally had him.
So then, the second time, we were getting blown out. They just got their scrubs in. And I remember this true freshman Samoan kid that I remember watching his All-American. He was in the Army All-American game. And I was like, whatever, this guy's a freshman. Yeah, he's going to be good, but I'm a senior. No, he came off the line and grabbed me. And I was like, hold on, this is a rock? I was like, what is this shit? And no, he was so strong. And I was like, man, get me the hell out of here. I was like, enough of this shit, dog. Like I said, give me my 9 to 5. I'm ready to get on this grind, dog. But those moments are so crazy because again, I played sports my whole life. So it's just when you had that moment that there ain't nothing that can help you, that God gonna have to come down here and touch your boy for me to do something special. It's just all right, it's over.
It's that extreme athleticism is literally a different ballgame, man. What else we got here? We got Joe Alvarez looked great and knocked out Thiago Moises, but he didn't make weight, so he couldn't get a bonus. Oh, also, I buried the lead. This card, 11 fights, 9 finishes. And the best fight on the card was the main event, which didn't even give us a finish, but was so amazing. Nobody cared that we didn't get a finish. The fight was just so dope. But we had this fight card was absolutely insane. Everybody was getting knocked out or something.
We had Herb Dean commit, another treasonous act. He let my man Ben Rothwell. He let my man catch the absolute beats. Thought about stopping us. Let him catch some more beats.
So if y'all didn't see this, Rogerio de Lima fought Ben Rothwell, big heavyweight matchup. And from the first second of this fight, quite literally, Ben Rothwell was in absolute hell for the whole fight. Herb Dean, at some point in the middle of the first round, touched Rogerio de Lima like he was stopping the fight. So de Lima stopped and looked at Herb Dean, and Herb Dean says, no, I didn't stop the fight. So Ben Rothwell is getting pounded on again because he still ain't right yet. He took 5 or 6 extra shots before Herb then jumped in and stopped it. And even before that stoppage, de Lima looked back at him again are you not stopping the fight? This dude is dead.
You know how bad it has to be for the guy who is, again, a crazy UFC fighter trained to knock you out, to look over at you and be like, hey, what are we doing here? Can you stop this, Herb?
If he has time to look back at you, the ref, and he doesn't get knocked out for looking back at you, you have to call the fight. That means something.
He called 0 strikes in between that whole thing. And Rafael was just laying there.
He literally paused the fight and did not nobody punch back. This is Herb Dean is. I know that we make the jokes about Herb unless people get killed, but this was probably the worst one I've seen. You can't touch a fighter and then tell the fighter that we're still fighting.
But I don't remember right offhand. I need to go back watch it. But I feel like Herb was he didn't touch him. He was kind of on him, and then he just backed off. I'm like, Herb.
You can easily tell from watching that Herb Dean was about to stop the fight, second guessed himself when his first inclination was extremely correct, by the way. By the time he was stopping the fight the first time, none of us were going to complain about this stoppage. Ben Rothwell was done. Absolutely done. I don't think between the time where he fake stopped the fight and really stopped the fight that Rothwell even threw a strike. He was dead already. He was gone.
You know what? Herb is, and we do make the jokes, and granted, they all absolutely stay because Herb is also, but he is one of the top refs of all time. He has that great pedigree. And you know what I think it is? Because he doesn't do this in big main fights. I think he just gets bored. He's like, oh, I'm in here for this, warm-up fight, whatever. I'm going to go through the motions. And I think that's exactly what it is. He's just
if it was later in the fight, maybe, but this was literally as soon as the fight started, it was over.
That's even the perfect time to kind of be I'm not even watching. Nobody's going to get knocked out. He's probably looking over in the crowd. Herb, listen, I suffer from ADHD, so Herb might have it. For her, and if I was a ref, I would definitely be looking in the crowd. Like if you got a few celebrities in the crowd, just to start, I'm like, oh, look at that.
I
Who's
have to
that?
look at them.
Yeah,
As
like,
soon as you look at Kanye, somebody whole mouth getting knocked off.
laid on the floor. Now you trying to hop in.
And it's like this was later on in the card, and you knew what kind of card it had been. Literally, everyone's getting knocked out. Then two lumbering heavyweights get into the ring. We all know someone's getting knocked out. If you walk into Herb, you have to know somebody's going out very sad. I need to be on my P's and Q's. And it was like he was just asleep out there. Like
that is a perfect
you really
point
put that fighter in danger.
Though. I think you're right on that everybody's getting knocked out. So Herb has to have like a spidey sense through the roof of like, okay, this has happened all night. So let me be on my P's and Q's. And Herb was like, nah, Herb was like, let me check my Apple Watch to see if I got some notifications while a man is getting killed on the side of the ring.
Props to DeLima. He had a great fight, but it was very clear from the first second of that fight. This fight is over. Then Rothwell got absolutely cooked. It was nasty. It was very nasty.
You're right. Like
Joe
that overshadows.
Go ahead.
I said, and the sucky thing is like every time Herb does this, that overshadows your win. Like nobody talks about how great a fight you had. It was just like, oh, Herb messed up your fight.
Facts. Especially when you lower down the card and people might not even know you. You want people talking about you. Now we're talking about Herb because Herb Dean stole the fucking show. I got to fight and ref he's literally, I shouldn't have to tell the ref how to call the fight. I'm the one fighting. Like, bro, this guy's going to die if you don't do your job right. Like, this guy's going to
There's die. A chance if Herb is, reffing your match, you're fighting your opponent and Herb, possibly.
It's just insane, man. Anyway, Joel Alvarez had a great win over Thiago Moises. But once again, Joe Alvarez is a great fighter, but he struggled with his weight again. He couldn't get no bonus. Not that he would. I mean, maybe he would have got one. There were so many damn knockouts. It was very tough to get a bonus. So who knows? But he wasn't even eligible for a bonus because he missed weight again. So I would love to see him keep fighting, but I think that he might have to go up because this is the second or third time that he's missed weight. I hate that, especially when guys are good. I hate that.
Another cool fight was Chaos, with that leg kick.
Yes. Oh my God. Chaos looks great. Now Chaos is about to get a big name fight. Chaos is one of the strongest dudes pound from pound on the roster.
He punches holes like through people. Like he is. And the crazy thing is, like, to me, these guys seem so little. Like if you look up their heights and weights, like he's only 6 foot 170. So like if I saw him, I'm like, man, get away from me, little fella. But you look on TV, he's like, God, hey, boy, you look like a brick. But that's crazy that like he has that much power in that little frame. But he is a absolute powerhouse, man. That's what 7 TKOs on his record, 13-2. So it's gonna be fun to see what they do with him. He's a very fast,
insanely strong. He's getting good. You gotta watch out for him. Song Yadong also won. He knocked out Julio Arce, which is a big win, man. Arce is no joke. He made him look bad.
Absolutely. He's going to be another one of those fast risers. He's now 18-5, So that's going to be something to see where they do with him because I think he's a future title contender.
Me too. He's good, man. And watching him fight, his fights are fun. Like, he is a fun fighter to watch, and he's strong as hell, too. Oh, my God, man.
I always forget how young he is too. He's only 24, and like in UFC,
scary
that's like you're a baby almost.
Can't wait to see who he fights next. That was a great fight. Got the Herb thing. Oh, Felicia Spencer beat or knocked out somebody, Leah Letson, and then she just retired today.
Oh, yeah,
she's retired today. We knew Spencer would cook. She looked great in this fight. And then
that's that fight that had like awful odds, like ridiculously odds.
She was the biggest favorite on the card. She dominated the fight. She knocked her out, but then she retired today. So that's very few fighters get to go out with a W on the record. So if she actually does stay retired, then much props to her. She had a great career and she looked great on the way out. What can you say?
So I was actually just scrolling Twitter, and I didn't know that Jeff Neal got arrested with DWI and the weapon charges 16 days before UFC 269.
Maybe that's why they didn't make. He was coming out saying he wanted to fight Kazmat. Maybe that's why they were like, Hell no, we're not making that fight. We don't know what's up with you and your
I
legal
think it just happened today.
Yikes. We ain't seen Jeff Neal in a minute either. Like, it's been a while.
That's why, because he intoxicated on Thursday. Oh, this was early morning of Thanksgiving. Lord Jesus.
Bro, wait, he's driving around drunk on Thanksgiving?
With the strap on him. That man is going the John Jones route. He said, you know what? I'm not getting attention, so let me do what these other guys are doing.
He's not a good enough fighter to take the John Jones route.
He is absolutely not. That man will be on Bellator in like 2 weeks.
He needs to relax right now. Yikes. I hadn't heard about that. That's awful. That's about all I got. Now I want to talk about a few fights that have been announced or rumored. First, Bilal Muhammad is fighting Wonderboy Thompson on December 18th. What do you think of this fight?
I love Wonderboy because hometown stuff. But I think it's a good fight. Bilal's really good. He had that last fight because, Leon overrated, man. Thought he was going to get cooked and poked him in the eye. Just pure speculation,
Stop this right now.
But I think that'll be a good fight. I think Bilal will win that one, though. I think he's a really good fighter. He's still an up-and-coming. That's who Leon should fight. Run it back with him. You didn't even get a good end.
Bilal tried to run it back, and Leon was like, why? And then
Leon is scared. That man is a fearful, scaredy. Never mind. Let me stop.
I'm excited to see Wonderboy again. Wonderboy needs a win. I don't know, man. I like Bilal Muhammad, but I think Wonderboy's going to win the fight. But we'll talk about it when we get there. Next, we got Calvin Kattar is fighting Giga Chikadze. Giga, the up and rising star of that division right now.
Giga is going to cook that man.
Yes, he is. Kattar is coming off Kattar just lost to Rob Font I think his last fight was Font. He lost it. It was either Font and Holloway fought him too recently. Anyway, Kattar's on a losing streak. And he's about to continue that because Giga is about to cook that man. I can't wait to see Giga again.
No, Kattar, he lost to Max, and then he beat Ige and Jeremy Stevens.
Wait, he's on a winning streak then. I lied.
No, he lost to Max, but he was on a winning streak before that.
Got it.
And then Giga has beaten Barboza, Swanson, and Simmons.
Obviously, the biggest fight that Giga's been in, but Giga has looked great. And I think it's scary hours for Calvin, for Kattar here, but we'll see. A big one just got announced a couple of days ago. Beneil Dariush is fighting Islam Makhachev. So we got our 9-fight Islam win streak versus the 7-fight Beneil Dariush win streak. And Dariush is an elite wrestler and grappler, just like Islam is.
Mm-hmm. You aren't going to be able to just come in there and try to, beam your way through it. It's going to be a little bit different. And he's a hell of a striker. And he can strike. DC was talking about that today on the RC show, which is a super fun show to listen to. But he was talking about, like, the biggest thing with Dariush is he does not care. Like, it is literally, he doesn't give a shit. So you can try all that craziness and think you're going to have him flustered, but that is the wrong guy.
These guys are managed by the same person, but also this is probably the number one contender fight. We got Poirier and Charlie Olives at the end of this month. And then Gaethje is probably next because he just beat Chandler, so Gaethje is next. But this is probably the number one contender behind Gaethje. So who that person will fight after the Gaethje fight is probably going to be the winner of this fight. So obviously this is a massive fight between Dariush and Islam Makhachev, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I just know it's going to be a great fight. And whoever wins that fight might be the best fighter in lightweight. No disrespect to Poirier or whoever the hell is the champion at that time.
Dustin, put some respect on my man's name.
We gonna see, man. We gonna see. They just announced also Jan Blachowicz, coming off his loss to Glover Teixeira, is going to fight Rakic.
Fight does nothing for me. I feel like that division is so boring, sans John Jones now. Like, we always complain about John watching that whole division, but now I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch any of these guys. Y'all get John in rehab, get him clean again, Dana, and then, throw him back out there because that's all you got.
Other than Yuri, I don't think I like watching anyone in that division, but I will say that if I had to rank the guys in the division on how much I like to watch them, Jan is up there just because the division is so boring. So I'm excited to see. I think that Jan will win this fight, and I'm excited to see him, but Rakic doesn't do much for me at all in terms of the way they fight. So I want Jan to win just because I'd rather Jan be getting those big fights as opposed to Rakic, Rakic is on a winning streak. So if he wins this fight, he's going to have a very good case for a title opportunity after Yuri gets his against Glover. So we'll see what happens there. This has been announced, but this one's according to Chael Sonnen, and I'm hoping that this isn't true. Apparently, Nick Diaz is about to fight Kevin Holland. What the hell is this fight? What is this fight?
It's just gonna be like Wild 'N Out UFC edition, and they're just gonna talk shit, do little skits. Like, I do not want to see the fight at all. It would be amazing press conferences and leading up to it, but I do not want to see that fight at all.
Is Nick Diaz going to train for this fight? Because I don't think that he trained for the last one. It didn't look like he did.
That would be the most out of shape, just random showing up, talking to guys humanly possible. Please don't do that. I don't know why Nick is trying to fight again. I don't know if he's got some debt or something going on or what it is.
I don't like it, man.
Yeah, but not this fight. Not at all.
I will say it's a great fight for if you're Kevin Holland, because Nick Diaz is one of the most famous UFC athletes to ever exist. And Nick Diaz is not going to expose your glaring weakness that we've been seeing in every Kevin Holland fight in the last 3 fights, is that he can't wrestle. Nick Diaz is not going to wrestle this man. All. Nick Diaz is going to stand and try to strike with this man, so we get to at least Kevin Holland can know with pretty much certainty that he ain't got his wrestling deficiencies won't show up in this fight. I get a big name. I get a win, I make some money, and maybe I get to buzz about me, because he should destroy Nick Diaz. If he does not destroy Nick Diaz, though, his career as a challenger is literally over. That's the end. We don't want to hear from you anymore as a challenger.
Never again.
I hope that fight is not happening. I don't understand why Nick Diaz wants to fight Kevin Holland. We'll see, man. We'll see. We got some other people flirting. Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson seem to have something going between them. They're talking about each other a lot, and I wouldn't mind seeing Nate Diaz go out if he only has one more fight left with somebody like Tony Ferguson, who's also a legend, also is a striker, and is also old as shit. I don't want to see Nate Diaz.
It's time for that man to wrap
I don't want to see Nate Diaz in there against any more of these young killers. Respectfully, I love Nate Diaz. No more of these young killers. All right, he needs to go in there against the mid. And Tony Ferguson right now is old, and also the mid. Somebody's got to win the fight. They both need to win. Let's do it. I'm in.
That fight doesn't move me at all, But like you said, Nate knows he's staying for them young kids. You see where Kazmat called him out. He was like, I'm not fighting a rookie, and it's like, oh, that man ain't a rookie. You just don't want to beat.
I'm not fighting nobody that young or that strong or that wrestles if I'm Nate Diaz. Fuck no. Why?
And Nate Diaz isn't gonna give up, so it's just gonna be like Nate. Bloody all over the ground getting slammed. No, thank you. No, absolutely not.
I don't blame him, but I would love to see Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz fight. They've been flirting. Also, Dan Hooker, who's also on a losing streak, tweeted that he tweeted a picture of a scale at 145. So he's going to go down to 145, and he said he wants to fight Korean Zombie.
I love Korean Zombie. I'm a Korean Zombie fan. I was so hurt when he lost his last fight, but no, that doesn't interest me either. Yeah.
I don't know who I would. I guess I would pick Korean Zombie. I don't know why Dan Hooker thinks he should go down as opposed to going up. We'll see. He needs a win, but it's not like he's losing to scrubs. He's losing to the best of the best. He's just getting cooked out there.
But, once you're getting cooked out there, it's like he's in that middle ground, too, where it's like you're either fighting somebody that can absolutely destroy you, a great challenger, or you're fighting some up-and-comer guy. I feel like the middle is always the worst spot to be. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, let me just try to go to a whole nother division. But don't fight a zombie if you go to another division.
I don't think that's where you want to start. But obviously, if you can go beat Korean Zombie, you're right there in the title. You're a title contender at that point. And that's where he wants to be. So I would like to see. I like Dan Hooker's fights. I like to see him try something different. I don't know if I want to see him try Korean Zombie just yet. I don't know if I want that. Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor have been flirting with each other a lot, and I'm literally flirting. They can't stop praising each other. They both tweeted a graphic about how they're going to fight. Conor says he's going to start his workouts in April. This seems a little higher than the level I want Conor to come back to, coming off the surgery, coming off a couple losses. I don't really want to see him fight Michael Chandler. I'd rather him.
I want to see him fight Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler would beat the hell out of that man. It depends though. If it goes absolutely more than one round, we're screwed with my man Michael Chandler. But if he can end it first, that's gonna be a fun one.
I don't want to see Michael Chandler knock out Conor McGregor. I just don't want to see that.
I am such a Michael Chandler fan now. I love every single conversation that he has. He's got my respect so much. So I'm a stand for him.
I have too much fear of Michael Chandler to want my GOAT Conor McGregor in the ring at this point in his career. At that time,
Conor is done. He needs to end it. I mean, he really needs to
We're not
retire.
having this conversation right now. Conor McGregor will be back.
Conor McGregor, I know you got better things to do.
Whoever number 15 is, put him in there against Sean O'Malley. Let's have the greatest press conference in UFC history, and then let Conor McGregor beat the living shit out of Sean O'Malley. I want to fight like that. I want him to fight a child and beat the fuck out of a child. That's what I want.
We are a young baby podcast, and I know this would never get to Conor McGregor, but if you're listening, Conor, if you're walking in front of your TV like it's a microwave, please retire. I mean, you are a legend, an absolute legend. The sport owes you, but retire. You are about to tarnish your name if you fight anybody right now. He's done.
He can beat done. The mid-level fighters. Y'all not put respect on my. Anyway, Conor McGregor, please come back, but not quite against a guy like Michael Chandler. Let's go down in the rankings a little bit and find a perfect.
Can victim. We talk about somebody how awful his house was though? Like I know this is a UFC podcast, but I'm getting old, so sometimes I watch HGTV. Like when he was walking in front of that TV, I was like, how gaudy and awfully designed is this house? So he needs to get into like other stuff, sell the whiskey, come out, do some press conferences, fight some people at the VMAs, but do not fight in the ring ever again.
I want him to come out and knock somebody out and then retire on the spot. I want him to go out on top, and he ain't going out on top if he fights Michael Chandler. So
listen, the only way he is getting another knockout is if he knocks out an old man at the bar. That is the only knockout left for him.
We will revisit this. I promise you. Anyway. A couple of boxing things I want to know real fast. The Crawford Porter fight was great. Crawford beat the hell out of Porter, knocked him out in the 10th round, but Porter fought a great fight. Jake Paul is fighting Fury's brother, not Tyson Fury. The other dude. I was about to say
Dick Fury. I was like, that's an adventure.
He's fighting Tommy. His name is Tommy. He's fighting Tommy Fury, and on that same card. I don't know why this is happening, but Darren Williams is fighting Frank Gore. So I want to ask you, who are you picking in that fight?
Frank Gore. Frank Gore was like 62 years old running the football. That man is battle tested. And there's no way.
Would it change your mind if I was told by actual MMA people, because Darren Williams has been training MMA. This is not an MMA fight. Darren Williams has been training MMA, and people are saying Darren Williams is an incredible fighter. So would you change your mind?
Absolutely not. But here's the reason why. This is not a good logical decision whatsoever, but it's because I played football, and like every time we used to punk the basketball team, like basketball players aren't physical. Like they're tall and lanky. So it's just like in a combat sport, I'm going with the football guy. No, that he's getting destroyed. I don't care who he's training with. That's not happening.
Frank Gore was the big running back, and it's insane that a little point guard is fighting this man. But they're in the same.
You remember how Nate Robinson was looking that day? Same thing. Basketball is going over 2.
I can't wait to talk about this fight. Well, I'm picking Darren Williams in this fight just to be spiteful. Anyway, we got our picks for this upcoming fight card, which is the Jose Aldo Rob Font fight card. Amazing main event. Actually, an amazing event all the way down the card. The prelims got some names that you will know, like Manel Kape. Is fighting on that card. Brian Barberena is fighting on that card, and Louis Smolka is fighting on that card. So a couple people to watch in the prelims, but we are going to pick the main card as we always do. And I'm gonna start from the bottom. And we got Morono and Mickey Gall. Morono is the -220 favorite, and Mickey Gall is the +180 underdog. Who you taking?
I'm gonna go with Alex in that fight. I don't have a really good reason why, so I'm just gonna go with the favorite. I like Mickey Gall has been pretty awesome in the last couple of fights I've watched, but no, it was the one where he fought Mike Perry and he lost. So I think that's my last one, but he won one before that. I want to say with the sub. So I'm going Alex.
I'm also going Alex. I liked Morono in his last fight, and I thought to myself at that time, I can't wait to see who he fights next. He's fighting Mickey Gall. I think this will be a pretty good fight, but I think Morono is going to win the fight. Next, we got Brandon Allen, who's a minus 350 favorite against Chris Curtis, who we just saw fight on the last pay-per-view. He's back again. So Chris Curtis is a plus 270 underdog. And he is an underdog for a reason because Brandon Allen is going to win this fight. Brandon Allen is an amazing fighter. He's tough as shit. He has pretty much the advantage in every way in this fight. And Chris Curtis punches hard. So there's obviously still that fear. But Chris Curtis was getting cooked in that fight before he started punching hard. And Brandon Allen's going to beat him in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Allen's had some really good fights, some really good ones. I know he beat Dawkins in a decision. He fought Reese and knocked him out, like I want to say in the first round. So I remember watching that fight and being pretty impressed with him. So I go same route.
The next fight is two old people. Clay Guida is fighting, and he is the plus 160 underdog against Leonardo Santos, who's a minus 190 favorite. These are two old men. One of the, Santos is 42. Clay Guida is not yet 40. So I'm taking Clay Guida because he's younger. And when you're 42 and you're still fighting at the highest levels of the sport, it scares me a little bit. Even though Santos is a great fighter, and I think his first UFC loss was literally this year. Like, he's a great fighter. I'm still taking Clay Guida.
That is such a, like the UFC fight sponsored by the Pins or whatever. You know, anytime your age, you add it up, puts you in the realm of being like a U.S. politician or president. You don't need to be fighting. Let's wrap this up. So, I struggle with this one because I love Clay a lot. You know, his last fight was so fun. I was like, damn, he's still throwing, punches out here at this age. But who did you pick?
I picked Clay Guida, who is
all right. I'm gonna fade you just to fade you. So I take Santos.
All right, you took Santos. Next, we got Jimmy Crute, who is a minus 180 favorite against Jamal Hill, 155, a plus 155 underdog. And if you remember Jamal Hill, last time we saw him, he got his arm snapped off. It was very gruesome, but he's a good fighter. He's a good striker. Obviously, you go to the ground with the elite people in this division. Bad things can happen. He knows that now. He'll be more careful. He is fighting Jimmy Crute. Who you picking?
I'm going to go with Crute. Coming off an injury with your arm is snapped like that, that's going to be in your mind. I think the psychological battle is going to be more than the actual physical part for him. So I think, that first fight back, I always feel like guys struggle after serious injuries like that. So I'm going to go with Crute.
Hill is stronger and probably a better striker, but Crute has every other advantage. Crute is a really good fighter. I think he should win this fight pretty easily. I also pick Crute. Next, we got Rafael. This fight is great. We got Rafael Fiziev, who's a minus 115 favorite against Brad Riddell, who's a minus 105 underdog. Basically, this is even odds on this fight. This is going to be a great matchup. Who are you taking?
I'm going to go ahead and take Brad. His fight against Drew Dober, who I love Drew Dober. I'm a big fan of Drew. He's on like a 5-fight winning streak. So I'm going to go with that one. But they're both 10-1. So, that's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to have big implications for where they go. So I'm going to take the kickboxer in this one.
Both these dudes hit hard as hell, but somehow have more decisions on their record than you would think. This fight's going to be fire, but I think it's going to go the distance. And I trust Brad Riddell over 3 rounds more than I trust Rafael Fiziev. I also took Brad. We are aligned on a lot of these fights except for one.
That's right.
I'll pick first on this one.
There you go. So
you know exactly what I'm taking in the main event. My son, Jose Aldo, the God, is a plus 125 underdog, and he's fighting Rob Font, who's a minus 145 favorite with that long-ass jab and that strong-ass punches. It doesn't matter. There are levels to this game. Jose Aldo has been in literal wars against the greatest of men. He's on a winning streak. He's back. He's looked great. I'm taking Jose Aldo to win this fight because he is the better all-around fighter, although he really has to avoid that jab of Rob Font, who's the strongest shit and uses his jab very well. Rob Font is losing this fight.
So, all right, you got Jose losing that. I'm a big fan of everything that Font has done. Font is a really good fighter. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit, enough love just in general in the UFC. He's on a four fight straight. He beat what was it, Garbrandt, and then
He just
he
beat Cody Garbrandt.
yeah. So I am giving him his respect, but there's no way in hell I am picking that man over Jose Aldo at all. I mean, listen, that man is an absolute legend. He gave my man, who is the true champ, Aldo. I mean, he gave that man absolute yawn hell. I felt that
Yes,
was
he gave
best.
Jan hell.
He gave him one of the best challenges he's seen. So I am all in love with everything that man brings to the ring. He is a legend. So I think he actually smokes him. I don't see this bad boy going lower than 3.
All right. So we agreed on 5 of the 6 fights.
So either we are going to cook or we are just going to be absolutely
So we go do
trash.
this landed together. And the updated standings, your boy is 11-4. And Stefan, who had a great week, and the last week we did fights, which was the VR Tate card, is now up to 8-7. So he was down very bad. Now he's only down kind of bad. And we'll see if he can make up some ground this week.
We're about to get a whole bunch of fights here again. That layoff felt really good. Like I feel like we kind of needed it. It's like I felt emotionally drained after that card, UFC 268, and then like the next card after that was absolutely amazing. So it's just like, damn, let me breathe during a UFC fight. Like I don't need adrenaline flowing for like 3 hours back to back. Like let me breathe a little. So
this fight looks great on paper. I'm excited about it. We haven't been on since Young Dolph died, so we're going to end this podcast with some Young Dolph. Y'all can't hear it if you're listening to the live stream, but you'll hear it if you're listening to the podcast. And we got to sign off, but thank y'all for tuning back in. We took a little break, but we're right back up, Stefan.
All right, glad to have y'all. Glad to tap into the UFC, wrap up this last year with the December, and then we'll get ready for 2022. We're gonna say it's the year of exposing Leon and Masvidal. That's how we're gonna title off. We're gonna bring some shit to the light in 2022.
All right, well, we'll tap back in with y'all. Make sure and thank y'all for listening.